This week we're reading The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, otherwise known as This Episode Sponsored by the Artful Brigand.
Hi readers, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine, the book pod where we celebrate the heroines we love
and roast the ones we don't. We'll be your TBR FGMs.
Fairy godmothers.
And find you the best 5-star reads, the spiciest romance, and save you from the overhyped DNFs.
So grab your favorite drink and get cozy. Welcome to Season 3.
The Night and the Moth.
By Rachel Gillig.
Spooky. They should have came out in
October.
Yeah, the transition from September to October.
Would have been way better because I think One Dark Window came out. Didn't it? Well, you know what? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I know I read it in the fall, but
yeah.
Yes.
It fits.
This book has been on everyone's TBR for a long time.
Yeah.
Because, well, no, it's not a standalone.
It isn't.
No.
Whoa.
It was supposed to be, I thought. But
yeah.
No, it definitely... I'm going to treat it like a standalone because I will not be reading the second book.
Wow. Interesting.
Just going to start strong on that one.
That's fair. I didn't know that you were that aggressive about it.
Well, I didn't read the second book in the One Dark Window duology either.
Oh, that's true.
And I think for a lot of the same reasons that we'll get into here. But can we just say, the publisher, the editor did a great job on the cover.
Oh, the cover's beautiful.
Because now covers matter.
Yeah. They do.
They're like trophy books these days.
Uh-huh.
And this book is absolutely stunning, and it's so fitting for what it's about. In the book itself, it's done exceptionally well, which she sets out to do. And I think that's not surprising for anyone who read One Dark Window.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting study, world building on the intersection of religion, politics, economy, and then overlying a romantasy, kind of overdone formulaic plot on top of that.
Yeah.
But her world building, like it was in One Dark Window, is just out of this world.
Yeah. Your train of thought gave me a additional train of thought.
Okay.
Choo-choo. Literally. I'm riding on a train away. Do you think that if you're going to cover complicated ideas like that of religion and politics and what makes a god, that you almost have to have some kind of formulaic, easy romance and plot to not get bogged down and create some giant monstrosity?
Absolutely the fuck not, because I would just point you to the Winter's Curse trilogy.
Okay, that's fair. Touche. That was a very clever little aside there.
Thank you for the setup, though.
Because I'm thinking The Familiar, I feel covered a lot of similar topics, what's miracles versus magic and God or whatever. But the romance and the plot in that was kind of unique, but it felt very literary monstrosity heavy. Fibrous, I think, is the word.
Yes, fibrous is.
Yeah, because I feel this could have swayed into that had Rachel not been very careful. You know what I mean?
Yes. What we talked about in the reading update with how I am reviewing books with, okay, well, did I like the book or was the book done well? This book is done well.
Yeah.
I think what we're getting into with the romance in particular is that I didn't particularly like it.
Yeah.
And I think that was some complaints she had in her first book. But also, I think that's a good point when you bring up The Familiar and what's the other one? Did you have another one?
Oh, The Songbird and the Heart of Stone?
No, I was thinking more literary books that lean literary but still try to be romantasy.
Oh, The Familiar is the one that kind of
jumps out. Oh, actually, what is that? The Stardust Thief kind of has that similar.
It does a little bit.
Political, the genies and everything. And again, the romance felt a little flat.
Yeah.
But when you look at books like the Bear and the Nightingale trilogy,
too,
where the romance is definitely way secondary, but it's still done really well.
See, that is weird because that one's really engaging. So what is it that separates that versus this one almost?
Good writers, bad writers.
Oh, whoa.
No, that was mean and unnecessary. I was joking. Rachel Gillig is a great writer.
Yeah, but there is some kind of something missing from this.
Mhm.
I think it's just maybe romance isn't her, like, forte, and the author's notes at the end, I don't wanna, like, read too much into it, but she does point to one of her friends for, like, really fostering the romance in this and, like, explaining some of the romance plot lines. So I do wonder how much of this was, like, a collaboration, at least in the romance aspect.
I wonder if she doesn't really want to write romantasy and she wants to write, like, more traditional fantasy,
Yeah.
and she puts the romance in there because that's where the readership is.
Yeah, I could see that because, I mean, One Dark Window, the first one is very light on the romance, and the second one had more romance, but it still wasn't, like,
Mhm.
traditional, like, or the main point, like, yeah.
And similarly, the characters, like, the main, like, love interest in One Dark Window and the one in The Night and the Moth aren't really necessary to the
Mhm.
plot. Like, they're not fixtures, and they're not super well fleshed out either.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the secondary characters like Bartholomew, uh,
God, I love it.
that have so much depth on their own with way better dialogue and way better interactions with the main character.
Yeah.
So, it could just be Rachel Gillig. It She's doing it because that's what she needs to do to get the book out there, but
Mhm.
it's not her, like you said, it's not her strong suit.
Yeah. I feel like that's a similarity between this book and One Dark Window is, like, a really strong set of secondary characters because I think that was one of her strengths is, like, the main character wasn't the only person pushing the plot in One Dark Window, and I think that's true in this too, like, they're all, like, standalone characters,
Mhm.
which I think is a very
That's challenging to
difficult.
do, yes,
Yeah,
to
but
do well.
it's necessary because you think of, like, ACOTAR and stuff, and they're all the same person basically with,
Mhm.
like, different fonts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it kinda makes it, like, really, like, bleh, okay, like, all your characters are the same. Anyways.
Yes, she does a great span of secondary characters,
Mhm.
but I feel like her main heroine always seems a little flat, like, she's just a vessel for the
Mm.
reader to, like, be immersed in the story rather than having her own inclinations or emotions or things, because I
Mhm.
can't point to anything in particular about Six, as we know her in this book. Why should we care about her? Like, what does she care about?
Mm. Hmm.
Like, I don't
I don't know.
Yeah, we're told that she doesn't like drowning all the time, and, oh, she thinks what's his name?
Rory?
Rory is super hot.
That is
And
true.
she feels attached to Bartholomew, but, like, I never really felt that from
Yeah.
the heroine.
That's interesting too, because again, One Dark Window, the main character, like, I couldn't point to any of that about her either. Like,
Mhm.
obviously, she had the whole, like, monster in her head thing going on, but that's, like, kinda it.
Is this an insert
Interesting.
self character?
I could see that. It's hard though, because in this one, I feel like part of Six's journey is, like, separating herself from the diviners and, like, regaining her, like, face. Because if you think about it, she's supposed to be, like, a
Yeah, that's
nameless,
how she grew
yeah,
up.
but I almost feel like that's, like, an unintentional, like, "See?"
But also, we start with her being so invested in being a diviner, like, that's her
Yeah,
whole identity, and, like, with one comment, she's like, "Yeah, nah, I'm just gonna go out in the town, fuck around a little bit, like,
yeah.
have some fun because I need to live, and then I'll go back to being a diviner." Seems really out of character.
That is true. Because when I was, like, putting together kind of our notes for this episode, I could not for the life of me, like, figure out why all of a sudden she's like, "Okay, we need to go out and live."
Yeah. Like, okay, I thought you were the most devoted diviner, like, so devoted that you intentionally draw the short straw so
Yeah,
you can drown,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden you're like, "Nah, this isn't for me anymore, bro." Like,
yeah. Because I get that they had been, like, talking about things that they were going to do, and then Rory made some, like, pointed, snotty comment, but it's like, I feel like you need something more than just, like, a comment and "You're not gonna do it"
to,
to
like, uproot, 20 plus years of upbringing.
yeah, to, like, break your vows
Yeah, to the
too.
only parental figure you've ever known.
And you're in a cult?
Yeah, like, it seems a little bit more traumatic than that.
Interesting.
Okay,
Ew.
yeah. Sidebar. I
Anyways.
highlighted this thing, and I don't know if this was intentional on Rachel Gillig's part
Mm.
or potentially a bad edit.
Oh.
So, it's Roderick Mendacious,
Yeah.
period. That bore, period. How did they spell bore? Boar. like the animal.
Oh, weird.
Now, every time I've heard that bore,
B-O-R-E.
yeah, as in you're boring. And I wonder if, like, she pulled a you and I moment and
Yeah.
she didn't know the
Boar.
reference, and it's like, "Oh, yeah, he's a pig, that boar." But, like, really it's
Whoa!
supposed to be, like, that
Yeah.
kind of overused cliche phrasing is like, "Oh, he's so boring."
I love that.
Yeah.
I wanna know now. I wanna know the lore behind this. Like, was it just, like, an accidental,
Or she
like
did it intentionally, like, "I wonder if anyone's gonna catch this."
yeah, autocorrect, or was it like, "Rachel, my sweet summer child."
Mhm.
Interesting, how fun.
Because, like, a auto editor would not catch that.
No. Wow, interesting. Because I do feel like there's a pretty quick turnaround between the second One
Mm.
Dark Window book and this one. Also interesting.
Yeah.
Well, leave that to where it
Okay.
is.
Just thought that was a nice little tidbit.
That's a good segue, though, because this guy's name is a atrocity to civilized
Yeah.
society. Mendacious?
Mendacious.
What the
Roderick.
actual fuck? I'm
It
sorry.
sounds Greek, and it doesn't line up with any of like, okay, this is not really a spoiler because you learn it in the first few pages, but Six is our heroine. Her true name is Sybil Denning,
Mhm.
straight from the English countryside.
Yeah.
Like, mendacious? Where the fuck are you from?
I don't know. And I kinda thought that he, like, maybe, like, picked it himself because he's
Mm.
a changeling, orphan,
Yeah.
foundling, whatever the fuck.
Also, picture Jack Sparrow.
Oh, yeah, basically.
Yeah, he has charcoal eyeliner,
Mm.
3 earrings. He
Mhm.
swaggers and, like, slouches and is, like, very, like, "I don't care about anything, but I'm hot."
Yep. But that's, like, his personality, though, is, like, being hot. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like, he has nothing else.
No. But I do like the way he's described. I find kind of charming that he never stands at his full height. Like, he's
Mhm.
too, like, lazy to do it. I don't know what it is, but that descriptor is just like, "Ooh, okay."
Yeah. I like that.
Interesting.
That's tasty. I can
I
yeah.
will nibble on that for a few moments.
Mhm. I do like his like, how he's described 'cause
Mhm.
yeah, we get, tall, dark-haired, like, okay, well, at least this one wears eyeliner.
I just had a moment. So, like, you said he's a pirate, like, in descriptor or whatever.
Mhm.
I think he should have been more conniving when it came to the romance, and I think it would have made it more interesting. Because I feel like it kind of falls into that, like, very formulaic romance plotline where,
Mhm.
like, they all of a sudden are in love, and then he's, like, obsessed with her.
Mhm.
I think it would have been cool if he, like, there was, like, a reason. Like, he has to get her to love him so she'll agree to be the diviner for Benji or whatever. Like, some kind of, like, conniving angle to it. Because I mean, if he was an orphan for his whole life and then, like, doesn't believe in loyalty, why all of a sudden is he, like, loyal to her?
Yeah,
You know what I
after
mean?
serving with, like, the woman who raised him and the boy king,
Yeah.
and he's just willing to throw everything away for her,
Yeah.
and it's this weird flip. Yeah.
Yeah.
He would have
Interesting.
been way more interesting as a character had he had a little bit more of a backstory or, knowing how it ends, we won't spoil the end,
Mhm.
but if he was on the wrong side.
That's what I mean, like, some kind of, like interesting.
Yeah. So, ultimately, this is kind of a 4-star read, I think is what we
Yeah.
settled on for both
Yeah.
of us due to a variety of reasons.
Mhm.
Eh.
Yeah, it had a very strong first half, and then the second half was like, "Oh, yeah, I've seen this before."
It's exceptionally predictable
Yeah.
because, we read The Songbird and the Heart of Stone earlier this year. It's the same pattern, right?
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna go on a quest, and then there's 4 items that we have to get on this quest, and we have to defeat each monster like we're fucking in a video game,
Yep.
and each monster is gonna be harder or slightly different than the last
Yep.
monster.
Yep. And by, like, the 3rd one, you're like, "Okay, I'm fucking tired of this shit."
2 more monsters to go. Okay, are we at 65%? Great, now they're having sex.
Yep.
Like, there we go.
Literally.
That is how this book operates.
Yep. It was also really familiar or similar to What Monstrous Gods by Rosamund Hodge.
Mhm.
I definitely liked The Night and the Moth more, but if you want more of that, like, existential religion plus romance, that one has a ghost romance, I guess, kind of. But they're all exactly the same.
Yeah. And if that's what you like, and if you're again, I think if you're a new reader to the genre or you only
Mm.
started reading in the last couple of years,
Yeah.
this book is gonna be fine for you.
I feel bad, though, because, like, 14-year-old me first diving into romantasy would have ate this shit up. We're just like haggard and...
But ask yourself, is this book meant for a 14-year-old?
Oh, no.
No, it's meant for an adult readership.
Wow.
So they deserve to get rated based on that.
Yeah.
I feel validated.
I don't like this. Wow. I'm a little bit angry.
Okay. Well, let's get... Okay,
Yeah.
we'll kind of get into the plot. We're going to skim the plot a little bit more in this one.
Yes.
Diviners.
Yep. They don't... So I did not understand how do you imagine the drapey veil thing looks?
Like, it's...
Like a half mask?
Kind of.
Like a curtain?
But, like a face curtain.
Okay. Because isn't that... What are the Armentrout books with Poppy? Because she also has like a face veil thing.
Ugh. No, I don't know. I haven't read it, but it's kind of annoying that this is not the first time. Because I thought the veil thing was cool. It was also very predictable, like what it was hiding.
Oh, I was bamboozled.
Really?
Yeah.
That's my biggest fucking complaint because, like, when they take down the first god. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll save it. We'll kind of get...
Yeah.
We'll start at the beginning.
Yeah. So diviners, they're in a cult, basically. There's 6 of them. They go by the number that they are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is our main character. It's first person POV.
Which doesn't scream first person. And kudos to Rachel Gillig on doing that because it is really hard to write first person to make it feel still somewhat omniscient.
Yeah. Excellent work, because I did not notice until Jordan said something, and I was at like 50% at that point. But they live up on this big hill called the Tor at Aisling. How did you pronounce it?
I did not. I read it and refused to say it in my brain.
Same. We'll just go with Aisling Cathedral. We'll see what comes out later. They live at this cathedral, which is home to this like natural fountain well full of rotted rose-smelling water, which has magical properties. The diviners are drowned in the well basically each time, and then they dream where they have like prophetic future vision quest, but it's the same every time.
Yes. This church, because it's really like a cathedral built over the spring, is dedicated to 6 different gods. Omens is what they call them. And each god carries a different stone tool. One is a coin, and that is the Artful Brigand. And he, like, each of the gods are in charge of like a little village, community, town thing. Like they're that area's like designated sponsor, I guess.
Sponsored by the Artful Brigand.
And then there is the weaver, the heartless weaver. So she's got a loom. And there is a few others. The scribe has an inkwell. The forest
oarman,
yes, has an oar.
Oh.
And there's the chime.
Yeah. The woodcutter.
And then finally the moth. Which
nobody knows anything about.
Yeah, the moth doesn't have a tool. It's just the moth is pictured with like moth shit. I don't know. Sorry.
It kept giving me Silence of the Lambs vibes, though.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, every time they talk about it, I'm like, ooh, freaky. A little like death moth.
So when the diviners dream, they dream each of these gods and their symbols represent something in the dreams.
And the gods are called omens. Right. So the new king has just been crowned. He's 17 years old.
He's a baby.
Yeah. His name is Benedict Castor III, Benji. Him and his knights are coming up the hill to get the inaugural first future divining. And they draw straws because nobody wants to drown and die and then have to be forced to dream. Except 6, our main character, pulls the short straw, and so she has to divine for the king. They have some kind of like snotty interaction where all the other diviners go, but she's still on the wall. And then she sees Roderick Mendacious for the first time, and they like fight each other.
They have like an eye fight because she's sitting on the wall like, I'm a diviner. And he's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You're like, like a middle fingers up, like, I don't want to be here. But
yeah. And then when they go into the divining, he's the one that walks out. He's like, I'm not listening to this shit.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy, though, because when you think that he's best friends with Benji, like, wouldn't he? Like,
his behavior does not align with how his character is supposed to be.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I will say she divines for him all of the signs are bad, and he's like, you know what? It happens. We're gonna vibe. That night, I think Six comes back and they're drinking some of the well water, which is like a big no-no.
Mhm.
And that's like their first interaction. I thought, based on this first little like menagerie of conversations, that Roderick was the actual king.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. It's like, why else would he be like a
That would
cunt
have
to
been
everyone?
so much better.
Yeah. And it would make sense why all the things were bad, because like Benji's like the not actual king.
I wish she had done that instead.
Yeah.
Well, and then the other kind of tidbit in the background is Benji, the boy king, is not well respected by like the towns and the villages, and particularly the matron. What is her actual name?
Abbess?
The abbess
Mhm.
of the Tor and Aisling. So she's like the sixth, the mom. She's camp mom. And she makes all of the diviners drown. Like, she holds them underwater to kickstart everything. But the backstory on Benji is that his grandfather was a king. And I guess the kingship is not inherited necessarily all the time.
You're like elected from the knighthood.
Well, his granddaddy was a heretic and
Yes.
did not like agree and tried to take down like the religious system, and he was like stoned to death. And so Benji, to like take up the mantle, is like, no one's like, this isn't gonna go well for you, bud. And the abbess hates him.
Yeah. She's like, oh, would you look at that? All bad signs. We always have another king. Anyway, good luck.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Yeah.
So Six has these like snotty interactions with Roderick. They leave. And then what we were talking about before, for some reason, Six decides that they need to go see life.
Because Rory said something dumb to her, like, what? Are you having a good life just standing behind your veil? Like, live a little?
Yeah. And she's like, "Ah, that's enough to make me break all of the rules I've been living by."
Like, they're not supposed to even leave the Abbey.
No. Mm-mm. And so I think she blackmails him.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about this. So she sneaks out of her little cottage where all the other diviners are sleeping, and she goes to where it's like the barracks. That's where the king and all of his knights are hanging out. They're drinking the spring water. And she's like, hey, so I need you to take me and my girlfriends into town, or else. But as she's observing the drinking party happening in front of her, we get this very detailed description. And it starts with the half-naked knight slid off the table.
Yeah.
And it proceeds to get more descriptive. And this is first 2 or 3 chapters. And this is where, readers, where Rachel Gillig is trying to lean hard into this being more romantic-y. Because the physical description of like rippling abs and like,
I was like, why are they like slutty now?
yeah, it's like,
It's a little early.
Okay, so this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's just your clue, like, okay, there's definitely gonna be some spice later on. There's definitely gonna be romance, but it still feels so forced.
Yeah, it does. Because they're antagonistic unnecessarily to each other. Like, all of their interactions, like, I could only describe as snotty, but it's like, why?
It's like 2 6-year-olds who are like, oh, I like you too, but like, I don't know what that means, and it makes me feel uncomfortable.
I'm gonna bully you.
Yeah, that's how these two, Rory and Six, interact the whole fucking book.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be older too. I think they're like
26, 27.
Okay, that's what I thought too. Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, so she goes like and confronts the knights and the king, blackmailing them into escorting her into town. But that's not how you like ask for help.
No.
Obviously, like, they're well-respected diviners. Like, the people adore them. Just ask them.
I know. You don't have to be a bitch.
Like, I play the victim card. I never get to leave my abbey, and I just want to see the world. I'm sure they would have just taken you into town.
Yeah.
There was no need for this weird, like, antagonistic or, well, take us into town or else I'm going to tell the abbess on you. Like,
Okay.
well, weirdo.
Cruel. But for whatever reason, that argument works. And I think like the next night or whatever, they all sneak out into town. And then Six decides there's some like
so fucking dumb.
there's some kind of like slutty conversation. And she's been bothered enough by Rory being a dickhead that she finds some random knight and drags him into the woods to the hoots and hollers of everyone around them to go
Have sex
roll in
against
the
a tree.
grass. Yeah. Except he like makes some like kind of gross comment. He's like, "Oh, I can't wait to tell people I've fucked a diviner." And she's like, "Okay, we're not gonna do this."
Yeah. And go ahead.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Okay.
No thoughts.
I have thoughts.
Uh-oh.
One, I have no issues with like the sexual mores of this world is like it doesn't matter. Like men and women have multiple partners. Like virginity isn't this prized thing, which I appreciate in world buildings because sometimes that's overdone. Like, oh, the virgin heroine is gonna get saved by her one true love. In this case, we get some background on Six's like previous romantic relationships where she just kind of randomly says like, oh, like I've hooked up a few times. There was this one dude, he was average, and there was this woman who was amazing. So it's like this little glimmer like, oh, Six is bisexual. She doesn't, which is cool. But sex is very casual, it seems like.
Yeah.
In the moment when the scene demands it, but later on it's not.
Oh, interesting.
It's treated differently depending on how you want to like push the plot forward.
Wow.
And I felt like it was kind of lazy. Like it's a token for the readership. Like, oh, my readers are, 18 to 25. Like this is probably going to be a really relatable experience for them. So I'm going to throw this in here so they, oh, like, yeah, I know that. That's how I operate too.
Dog, what the fuck?
It really annoyed me.
Wow, because yeah, if they were casual about sex, I feel like there was multiple instances where Rory and her should have just like got it out of the way, for lack of a better like term.
Yeah, like
They would have had sex and been like, okay, fine, whatever.
especially if it's not like culturally taboo.
Yeah. I wonder if that would have made the romance better, because then you could have like the romantic climax be when she takes off her veil for him and like tells him her name or whatever. I feel like that would have been more like satisfying if that was like the true testament of their romantic. Interesting.
And that would have caused some more tension too, right?
Yeah. If they were like fucking on the down low but like hated each other.
Fucking on the down low but hated each other. Might be an episode title.
Title of my band. I don't even know what combination of words I put together, but
I don't know if I can type that into our show notes, but we'll go for it.
Oh, I love that. But yeah, so she immediately has buyer's remorse, which like I respect that.
Yeah,
I feel that.
reasonable.
I feel like that's a very universal feeling. So she goes into the town. They're all partying by a bonfire. It feels very like high school, college-y.
Oh, they're going to like a frat party.
Yeah.
Even the game that they come up with at this point, like, oh, like I challenge you to your skill, and if like you don't win, you have to run around naked.
You
like,
have
what?
to strip your clothes off.
Like, what are we reading right now?
So this is the part where I got a little bit confused, and then my confusion continued. So that's the like if he wins, and then if Benji wins, then Rory has to get like dreamed for or whatever. But they like decide that they have to like take him to the ground, like tackle him. And Six is the one that's eventually able to do it. But is she supposed to be like Thickums?
Yes. And that is, again, kind of hinted at, but it's not very overt because each of the diviners have like a trade that they do when they're not divining. And so she's a stone worker, like a mason. So she always carries a chisel. And you get these points throughout the story where like, oh, she's like thicker, like she's muscly and heavy. Like he tries to pick her up and she's like, oh, I'm heavy, be careful.
Yeah.
Because she like lifts stone all the time and is working with, she's got big biceps, which cool. All right. I like that. You don't get that too often.
I loved it too. I wished it was a little bit more overt.
Yes,
though.
I do too. They could have done more with that.
Because I feel like it was hinted at enough that if you can pick it up, but not enough to be like supportive of it, if that makes sense. But then you look at the like cover and like she looks like a dainty,
like a waif.
Yeah. But it's like, if this is gonna be like a Thickums, who's the Alona Mayer rugby player?
Oh,
that's the body type I imagine for Six.
Or the chick from Game of Thrones, Bree.
Oh, Brienne of Tarth.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
hell yeah. That's who I want to read Brienne's story.
Yeah, but it's like lean into that. Like we need some like Thickums appreciation here, but overtly and very enthusiastically. But yeah, that was like the start, because I imagine them as kind of like malnourished diviners because they like die all the time. But then she's like, I'm a Thickums, and I'm like, okay, I respect that.
Like, because it's weirdly conflicting, because we get this thing where she's like, the scene opens and she's she's eating an apple, and so she shares the apple, and it's like they walk around barefoot and they have this very, what's the word, kind of monkish existence.
Yeah.
There's a word for that. I don't remember what it is, but like they don't have property, they don't have shoes, they don't have clothes, they just have their trade and they have divining.
Mhm.
So like would she be able to be like super
Bulky?
muscular?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
It's weird.
I felt like it might have been a little bit of like, not fan service, but like
Token?
yeah, but it's like, be into it,
If you're gonna do it well. And okay, yeah.
But yeah, so they win, or she wins, so Rory has to get dreamed for, and then Six has the weirdest dream she's ever had where none of the omens are there. She only sees a moth, and she's like, that's freaky. We're
Mhm.
just going to like pretend like that didn't happen. And then they all leave, except obviously something has gone wrong because they all fall asleep, and the next morning, one of their friends is gone.
Yeah, just disappeared mysteriously. What we haven't talked about though, up until this point, is our best friend Bartholomew.
Oh, God, I love him. It's devastating that you find out that he is a small child.
Mm-hmm. But he is a gargoyle.
Yeah.
And he is this chattering, follows Six around like the entire time. Like
Mhm.
he's her pet
Yeah.
caretaker. Like it's a weird dynamic, but it's adorable.
Mm-hmm. And he calls everyone Bartholomew.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, that confused me at first because I thought Six's name was Bartholomew. And I'm like, that's
No
a choice.
There's definitely something like mentally wrong with Bartholomew,
Mhm.
but you're not sure what because he definitely hints at having knowledge of other things. You just
Mhm.
have to unpack that. You're like, oh, well, okay. Well, here's the key for the whole story. We just need to finish the whole book
Yeah.
to figure that out.
There have been side characters in books identical to this, but I cannot think of where it's like they have all of the answers, but they're like baddie.
Oh.
The Stardust Thief? Isn't that in there? Where they, like, don't have all of their memories, but they end up being, like, the key to something? I don't know. I loved him. We'll just leave it at that.
He's a great character to help, like, push, like...
I will say I feel like some of the things that he said were oddly modern, though.
Oh, yes, but it was adorable
I
still.
loved it, but it was like, I couldn't ever determine what time period we were operating in.
Yeah, and that kind of also felt a little... like, for the readers, like, she modernized the style.
Mhm.
It wasn't so modern that it would turn away, like, traditional fantasy readers, but it definitely... Okay, second beef. The amount of... for
Our
someone
second course.
for someone who says "fuck" a lot, there was a lot of cussing in the book, and it was jarring, and it was unneeded and unnecessary. It's like, oh, are we trying to have, like, a badass, like, heroine who isn't ladylike?
Yeah.
Like, why?
I don't know.
I know I say it a lot, but I don't wanna read it. Like, that it just feels out of place, and maybe that's a double standard on my part as a reader, like, "Oh, that's not fair."
I do it enough at home.
Yeah. It just it took me out of the story.
Yeah.
Same way with some of those modernisms.
I feel like it's probably just a broader part of the whole, like, modernisms discussion because it wasn't as bad as I have read, but it was interesting because I feel like One Dark Window was very, like, specific to a time, and it, like, felt that way, so I don't know. They start disappearing one by one. I will say this was the atmosphere of these
Oh, it was
scenes
creepy.
so my God, yeah, there's definitely, like, a touch of horror throughout this whole
Mhm.
book that's very, like, unsettling, but the abbess is, like, totally unconcerned. She's like, well, I think that they just left because they're naughty women, and, are you a naughty woman too?
Oh my god, when you find out what happens to these women, it's unsettling.
Yeah.
Like...
I wanna read Rachel Gillig, like, actual horror.
Mhm.
I would be scared, but I would do it
Yeah,
for science.
It's that is what is done very well. It's like the actual mystery and what's going on in the things, but I think this is kind of where we need to pause for things.
Oh.
Well, we're running long, Katie.
Oh, no. I guess we had a lot more to talk about than maybe one would expect.
Yeah, so we will come back next week and wrap up the rest of The Night and the Moth then.
From our shelf to yours.
We will see you on the next page.
Hi, readers. Like what you've been hearing? Check out the Spice Archive at notanotherheroine.com to see all of our reviews and ratings. And if you'd like to support our growing library, find us on Patreon and get access to exclusive bonus content.
If you'd like to just listen, we post new episodes every Monday and Wednesday on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. Thanks for listening.